that when they say love at first sight, they did not include the process. That there's a process in between that time. You understand? I made mention of that. It's possible for you to meet somebody and on impulse for you to tell the person you are my wife. Yes, that does not mean that there won't be process. If it's burning like that, whatever is burning with so much gas does not last. You get. But I'm saying after the spark, what next? There must be a process.
Okay, let me ask you a direct question. You
Okay.
are a father. You are a father. You have children.
Okay.
Are you concerned about them hearing this and believing it? Love at first sight. Are you at all concerned about anybody that
Not
is
at
close
all.
to you?
Not at all.
Not at all.
This is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh.
If you want to go in the line of Bishop's way, the scripture, the good book says when Adam saw Eve, it was like, this is the bone of my bone, the flesh. And that's the attraction we are talking. That's the spark. But did they sustain that? You know, like, there's no logic to all these things. There's no textbook to it. Even the one that was orchestrated, masterminded by God, did not work.
Sorry, how do you know it was
No,
masterminded by God?
you
Tony, what
understand?
do you
Just
think? You
you
just said that
are
there's no logic to it. What do you think, Tony? For
saying
me, for
that's
me, I wish that there wasn't a statement like that. I wish that people would not be saying it until you experience it. Then you will finally understand when you get the great.
I understand the concern about the phrase because, like we all seem to agree, there should be a process beyond that initial dopamine rush and feel good factor. You should be able to put that to test, like see if what you felt that first time in different scenarios with this same person.
if that is your story, I mean, love at first sight. If that happens to be your history, won't you relate such with your children to their kids?
That's a beautiful question. I like that. What do you want to say, Tony?
Well,
I actually have a note on
when
that.
when we share our experiences with our kids, for people in committed relationships like marriages, at some point you will tell them about how you and your partner, their mom, came to meet one another. And if that is your experience, of course you will tell them that, okay, the moment I saw this person, I felt this way about that person. But beyond that, I would go further to explain to them, especially given what I know now, um, about myself and what it means to be able to sustain a relationship for the long haul, not just a short while. I will go further to then tell them that it's important, as much as these feelings are good and welcome, it's important to get to know your partners better before you make any serious commitment. That's what I can say about that euphoria of feeling a strong sense of attraction to somebody of the opposite sex. So as a concept, like I said, a lot of us have experienced it, and I think it's something that is possible, but there's a caveat. I would like to put a caveat to it, that as much as that initial feeling of euphoria is good, you know, it's important to give the relationship, and this is my personal opinion, also looking at my experience, what I know now compared to when I was much younger, it is better to give that feeling time and get to um, know each other better beyond that initial attraction, euphoria, infatuation, whatever it is we want to call it. Because that feeling on its own, I don't think that, while it's enough to get things started, I don't think it's enough to sustain a relationship in the long run.
That phrase is very hasty. You understand? It's conclusive, but then he has omitted the practicality of that process in it. If you get what I mean.
Yes, I
Did you
totally
get me?
understand.
One of the best things that would happen to us or to a person as a human being is to understand self-love. If you really have self-love, then you can begin to talk about loving another person. And we hear it a lot, but I think that it goes over our heads. Until you finally experience it, then you will finally understand when you get the grace and you experience it. Because let me just say quickly, how can we talk about love at first sight, right? When maybe it is some of us having a different understanding or concept of love. Because how can you say that you love somebody and you are ready to marry them when it also matters how that person feels, right? You cannot really I don't think that it's fair to even say that and to start planning that you're going to marry the person, because this borders on selfishness, don't you think? I love this person, I've seen this person, I want this person for myself. How much
Possess.
consideration am I giving to how this person might feel about this idea of mine? Because I don't know, even if I had a twin sister or a twin brother, they may not like the things that I like, that I value. Here I am, I now meet someone and I decide that we are going to make this happen. And then I throw myself into it. That's where I will start from.
I think your submission, Uzo, is very, very spot on, right? You started by saying the start point really is self love. But then for you to love yourself, you first have to know yourself, right? So at the point when most of us were feeling that initial, I mean, when we were younger, okay, I'm speaking for myself now. Let me not generalize. When I was young, I bet that at different points in my life, I thought that what I felt for this person was it. And then I went on to feel that same rush of hormones and euphoria and all of that for somebody else, right? But then, did I know who I was at that time? Which I think is the biggest issue in relationships today, because a lot of us, at the time that we go into these committed relationships, we don't have a sense of who we are yet, and until we do that work of learning about ourselves, loving ourselves, and figuring out what it is that we want in a partner, until we do that work, we can't say we have got to a place where um, where we can be able to water those initial feelings that those initial sparks that we feel when we meet somebody that we like. Um, Back to the question that you asked initially, what would I tell my brother, my sister, my friend, if they came to me to say, "Oh, I met this person and I'm going to marry this person," without, having taken time to learn about the person. But my advice would be, while that emotion is beautiful and it's good to nurture it, it's important to give it time, not because you're waiting for it to wane, but because you want to get to know the person. And knowing the person is in different circumstances. The circumstances under which you met might have been the most ideal circumstance, right? Maybe this person looked their most glamorous. Maybe they were having the best of days. Would you love this person when you meet them when they are less glamorous or when they are having an off day? Have you seen this person in another environment outside of that initial environment? Would you love the person outside of that initial picture when you first met them? How does the person treat other people? How does the person treat themselves, really. How about things like hygiene? How about things like hygiene? How about worldviews, right? How about worldviews? How about spirituality? How about questions of finance? You know, there's so many layers of getting to know a person. And the first meeting with the person isn't sufficient to learn all of this, to now come to the point that, yes, this is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. Uzo, I know you were itching to say something.
I was
All
itching.
right.
You felt my itching from here. Shaya, I'll allow Shaya to. I think Shaya, do you want to tell us
No,
why
I,
you're asking that, and what
I
would
feel
you
I
do
should, I
yourself?
feel I should expatiate on the question I threw out
Yes, yes,
to Tony. You know, I
yes,
was saying,
yes.
if your story, let me give it to you this way. You're coming
Okay.
from the east. That's a very common part in this
He's
part of
not.
the world.
He's
You know
not.
that
No,
He's not.
I'm
He's
not
not evil.
evil.
I'm not
I'm
lying, you
evil.
know.
You missed
No,
it.
okay, good. I am saying the Igbo parts that our people from the east, the wise men
Oh,
from
okay.
the east, they
Okay.
don't waste time. They will go to the village that month in that December time. By January, February, they are married. I have friends. My best friend is Igbo. I have a lot of them. So I am saying it's like it's as common as it can be in that part. And I know that. Also, you can't argue that with me. We have facts and figures. I can show you the records there.
The
Now,
data.
my point is, you find yourself to the east. Let's assume you are Chidebere or whatever, not Tony now. You've gone to the east and you met Amaka inside the luxurious bus on your way, maybe back to Lagos, and you're like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Olu. Where are you from? From this, okay. Bam, I want to talk to my wife. And now, this is the product. You have good kids, you have good union, you love her, she respects you, and you have a
Okay.
blissful home. Look at that scenario. And
All
you
right.
are, in fact, you are you just like you are even thanking your stars that you met her, and you understand what I'm saying. And
Yeah,
the
we
kids
got.
look up to you more girls. So how do you relate that to your kids?
Uh, how do you relate it to your kids? Okay, I
I
would
mean,
go.
your daughter is like, I want my husband to be exactly like my daddy. And why your son is like, I want my wife to be
It makes no
exactly like my
difference.
mom.
Shaya, I think
You
it makes no.
understand that?
I would say that it makes no difference because let's not forget
No, the
that.
question is for Tony. It's for Tony. I want to hear from the
No,
male.
no. Please let
Tony-
Uzo let
I
Uzo
think Tony
answer.
already responded.
Let Uzo
No, 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 no.
answer.
I don't put it into perspective when I was giving it to him.
But he
You
answered it
understand?
properly. He answered it properly too, even without
No
that.
question, please.
Huh?
I still want to hear from yes. We
Because
are
you don't
coming to
want
Sheye,
yourself.
Sheye
no,
admits
because you
that
want
he
to
loves
bring
the sound
other
of my
perspectives,
voice.
right?
No,
That's
Sheye
why.
needs to admit that he loves the sound of my voice. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay.
Okay.
No,
All
Sheye,
right.
Right?
the answer is the same, right? If it is my experience, of course,
Okay.
I would proudly share my experience with them. But then
All the
again,
juicy parts,
story,
all the juicy parts without editing.
well, I mean, it's a feel good story, right? If you meet someone and, you know, instant sparks, it's what romance novels and movies are made of. Everyone generally loves stories like that. So I will regale them with those um, tales, right?
Parts.
Because it's a
Okay.
great story. But
Okay.
again, experience has shown that only a few of the relationships that start that way are actually sustained in the long run. So
Okay.
even if that was my story
That's
and I
okay.
am happy to share it,
It's
even if that
debatable. That's debatable.
even if that's my story and I'm happy to share it with them, I would also make it the point of duty to let them know that not all relationships pan out that way. And
All
for
right.
you to be able to even decide that somebody is a good partner for you, there are several things to put into consideration. Earlier, when I spoke, I said that the circumstances under which you met that person that made you have that feel good feelings about that person, whether it is the shirt they were wearing, the perfume they were wearing, the way they style their hair, their
Mommy, I
shoes,
think you like
how
my
they
shirt and my
spoke,
hair today.
how they spoke, and all of the myriad of things that might have elicited that um, feeling of attraction and euphoria in you. Are you still going to feel that same thing outside of that initial environment?